Bachelor Party is a simple, breakout Pong clone where you control a giant tube of Spanish fly. Your mission is to constantly give the Flying Bachelor the necessary energy to score repeatedly with a never-ending stream of women. And for those of you who are too young to remember the 80s, yes, there were some really good drugs back then. And yes, it appears as though whoever came up with this concept had ample access to them. When you begin, the Flying Bachelor floats away from the 2 rows of women and towards the Spanish fly. Once he's invigorated, he heads back out onto the dance floor to score with one of the multicolored ladies. I guess the glass half full way to look at this setup is to be proud that a game in the 1980s had a multicultural approach to women in games. Yeah, I'm stretching, I know. When the Flying Bachelor hits the back wall or the second row of women, he becomes extra energized and moves twice as fast as he normally does. This makes dosing him with Spanish fly more difficult. The downside is that it means the game will soon be over. But the upside is that you won't be subjected to the poor rendition of Charge that plays every single time you score with a lady. There are 2 different game setups. The first has 2 static staggered rows of women that when cleared make way for a fresh batch of 10. The second has your Flying Bachelor facing off against 2 solid rows of women who slowly advance towards the Spanish fly. All in all, for an adult title, this game is fairly harmless. The same can't be said about the second half of this cartridge. Gigolo is part memory game, part evasion, well, there's the scoring phase of the game, and I mean that in multiple ways. When the game begins, there are 7 professional gigolos that are released from prison. You must pay attention to which houses they go to, because those are the ones that you must visit in order to score. Once that lengthy phase is over, it's time to begin your hunt, of sorts. Now, if you try to just visit the gigolos right off the bat, you will be stunned, and the cops will come and haul you off to jail, taking away one of your panties/lives. Like all gigolos worth their salt, they need $20 to make you holler. Wow, I just wrote that sentence, I'm sorry. Anyway, before you can begin your night of gigolo visits, you must first go to the bank teller in the lower left-hand corner of the screen to withdraw some cash. Once you have a fist full of bills, it's time for you to get a something full of something. Side note, I'm trying very hard to remain clean in this review, which as you can imagine is easier said than done. Make sure you take a leisurely stroll to your selected gigolo's house, because the cops not only arrest you for breaking and entering, but also for running. I'm guessing it's a high-crime neighborhood, and if you are running, it means you must be guilty of something. Thankfully, the cops are stupid and have short attention spans, since you can hide behind a house, and they will eventually wander off in search of donuts or whatever cops did in the 80s. Once you reach the proper house with some money, it's time to score, literally and figuratively. When you go through the door, you enter their bedroom and find your woman riding the gigolo. The longer the ride, the more points you receive. Once you both, finish, you are back on the street where you're free to move on to the next one. This repeats until you get caught by the cops 3 times, or you feel an overwhelming sense of shame for playing the game for longer than 5 minutes. Both of these games can be found with the roles reversed. Bachelor Party is Bachelorette Party and Gigolo is Cat House Blues. The box cover evokes the memory of so many teen sex comedies of the 1980s. While it's not high art, there's still a certain sense of appeal to it. The manual is entirely text-based. However, there are more puns and innuendos than should legally be allowed in such a small space. Both of these games can be found with the roles reversed. Bachelor Party is Bachelorette Party, and Gigolo is Cat House Blues. Backgammon is a game that dates back hundreds of years in its current form, and thousands of years with some variations. This Atari 2600 cartridge is just another in a long line of versions of the board game. The concept is simple. Move all of your pieces around and off the board before your opponent can. This is accomplished by rolling the dice and moving the pieces. Everything about the game is simple and straightforward. The paddle control interface is well suited for the necessary movements, and the dice are rolled with a simple button press. There are a couple of different game types, but they are essentially the same core game. If you have no friends, which in the 1980s, if you owned this game, it's a safe bet you didn't, then the computer will play against you. There isn't anything wrong with this port of the board game. It's just not very interesting unless you are a die-hard backgammon fan. Being an early first-party release, Backgammon features some of that wonderful Atari-painted artwork on the box cover. The manual is surprisingly robust, featuring a nice breakdown of the game, along with some additional artwork. The game was featured in a variety of catalogs over the years, using different artwork to make the game look more impressive than it actually is. Backgammon also got a Sears Telegames release. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to see more Game Encyclopedia videos.